Real quick, this video was recorded in October of 2025. Obviously, a lot has changed since then, but I still think this video was a fun project that's worth watching. So keep that in mind and enjoy. What's up, guys? So a few days ago I was decluttering and I finally unboxed this one case that I bought maybe about 2.5, 3 years ago. And at first glance, it's a pretty simple case. There isn't much to it. It's essentially just like a black metal box. But I've actually seen some of these cases on Amazon, probably drop shipped for like $32 or so. And that got me thinking, can we actually build an Amazon-only gaming computer that can play modern games for a super cheap price, like $350? That would be my goal, and I think that would be pretty legendary. Let's give it a shot, yeah. So this whole process ended up being a little bit tougher than I expected because I had several instances where I could have spent $5 to $10 more for a superior product. We'll talk more about alternatives later in the video, but this ended up being a pretty interesting build. Alright, this is what Amazon has to offer for the fastest, cheapest new gaming computer available. And a great addition to any gaming computer is a nice setup to match. That's where Wanwa and their iconic Nitro Glide dual monitor arms come in. I used Wanwa for a couple of years when I had my dual monitor setup, so when they reached out, I was super excited to work with them. They're one of the few high quality and affordable dual monitor arms out there. They were sturdy and easy to adjust when I had them. Practically, my Wanwa monitor arms gave me greater adjustability, flexibility, and desk space compared to traditional monitor stands. Their Nitro Glide dual monitor arms use a standard VESA mount, 75mm and 100mm, so they work for most modern displays, and the model that I have can support up to two 40-inch 26-pound displays. The instructions are incredibly clear and it doesn't take too long to actually set everything up. The arms themselves are really thick and come with a wide base, so they're super stable, even on a cheap foldable desk like the one I use. The base itself has two USB ports for easy access to charge your phone or to plug in a peripheral. The monitor arms have full range of motion for raising, lowering, swiveling, tilting, and rotating. And this allows me to put them in pretty much any orientation. Like, any orientation. That's actually pretty cool. If you guys need high quality and affordable monitor arms for your dual monitor setup, definitely check out Wanwa. I've been a customer and it's only been a positive experience, and they're great for both budget builds like this one and for high-end builds as well. Link is in the description. Thank you guys so much for sponsoring this video, and let's go talk about this computer right here. Yeah. The CPU in the cooler is the Ryzen 5 3600. Bought this for $74, and this is still so tried and true, and I'm so shocked that this is still being sold brand new. Now I'm pairing that processor with the cheapest AM5 motherboard that I can find, the A520M8 Pro. Now I decided to forego one that had Wi-Fi and Bluetooth built in just so we can save money. You know, when one of the features is 4K support onboard video, that this motherboard doesn't have much to offer, but it gets the job done. And I think this one was, how much was it? This one was $65. Now RAM was the part that really spooked me, mostly because of the price, because last I checked DDR4 memory, 16 gigs, it was maybe $30 to $35. This one was 51 bucks. It was the cheapest one I could find on Amazon at the time. So RAM prices are just generally up, and I think that's because of AI and high demand, so prices go up. It just kind of is what it is, and so yeah, 16 gigs of RAM, 51 bucks. As far as long-term storage goes, I got this King Spec 512 gig PCIe 3 SSD. That's enough storage for what we need and to at least get some games up and running. Powering everything is the tried and true Thermaltake Smart series. This one is the 500 watt model. I've used this in so many different budget builds. We could have gone cheaper technically, but we couldn't have gone cheaper and safer. This power supply is about $40, so a little bit more expensive than I would like, but still reasonable enough for what it offers. Okay, this one is the fun one. This is basically the case that I was mentioning earlier. It's a near identical model, and it is the G Perhuan TGD Gamer. And this one was $32.60, which is honestly more expensive than it really should be, simply because the Cooler Master Q300L V2, although it's not a great case, it's only $3 more, and I think I would prefer that over this. But for the sake of trying to be as cheap as possible and really having this case be the centerpiece around this build, still wanted to give it a shot. And I do really like the form factor. It's smaller than the Q300L or other competitors. That is a pro here. So, and lastly but not leastly, the part that most of you are probably wondering about, the video card, we have the RX 580. The gift that keeps on giving, it just won't die. It's the 2048 SP edition with 8 gigs of VRAM, so it actually performs more like an RX 570, and it's the cheapest new, it's not technically new, but more so like refurbished and repackaged, repasted card on Amazon that is actually worth the price. The only downside about this card is that it's not getting game-ready driver updates anymore. Newer games just may not work on it. I will have a video later that will discuss just alternatives in this computer build that I think would actually be better than these brand new parts, but we're gonna save that for later and just continue with this experiment and see where it leads us. We did it, Joe. We did it. Fully Amazon built computer using technically brand new parts. Take a look. What do you think? Is it nice? Is it cool? Is it clean? Kind of like it. I like the small form factor. It has a really cute kind of simple and yet kind of elegant design. I think the darker colors actually complement it well. But the thing is, more importantly, how it performs. And the even bigger thing after that is, if you don't go with Amazon, how much better performance can you actually get? We'll answer some of those questions in this video, a few of them probably in a future one. Let's get to testing. You know, the crazy part about all of this is I don't even know if it works yet, so let's power it on and hopefully this computer is functional. Yeah, moment of truth. And my battery's about to die, so let's make it quick. Let's go. Computer's built. It works. Yeah. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, just to recap, this computer is rocking a Ryzen 5 3600 with the stock cooler, an A520M motherboard, 16 gigs of RAM, a 512 gig SSD, the Thermaltake Smart 500 watt power supply, an RX 580 8GB GPU, and a pretty generic case. And the total was $401.60 before tax. And I'm gonna say something kind of controversial, but I actually prefer how this case looks versus the Q300L. And I think I would choose this case again, stylistically. Shoot me. Maybe it's crazy. My honest thoughts, my honest opinions. So not quite the $350 that I was hoping, but there are ways to actually get down to that price that we'll talk about later. But how does this perform? Cool. Okay, to put it simply, the newer the game, the worse this $400 computer performs. Rainbow Six Siege, Counter-Strike 2, both of these games are almost a decade old, with Counter-Strike 2 getting, I guess, a pretty big update, but we were able to clear over 100 FPS on average, even with high settings. Rainbow Six Siege definitely felt smoother than Counter-Strike 2, but both games were still totally fine, and I was able to actually increase my average to 154 FPS in Counter-Strike 2 when I lowered the settings down to low. The only hiccups I experienced were when I first loaded into the match, but after maybe about 10 seconds, the computer, quote, warmed up, unquote, and everything was fine. Black Desert Online is about 10 years old as well, and we were averaging about 60 FPS using medium settings, even when there were lots of mobs on screen and there was tons of flashy effects. Now I imagine that this would lower if I got into a large scale fight or battle, but in terms of playing it almost like a single player, it was totally fine. Now, as we get into games made within the last couple of years, things start to look a little different, but there were still a few surprises. Helldivers 2, for example, played a lot better than I expected. Even though the average was fairly low, we were about 41 FPS, it felt buttery smooth, and I even forgot that I was benchmarking. Baldur's Gate 3 ran better than I expected. Once I adjusted to the lower textures and the lower graphics, I was actually able to enjoy the experience. I averaged about 48 FPS in the opening scene and about 71 FPS in latter scenes with less going on screen. Now, even though there were some really cool surprises, this computer really does start to show its age with games dropped within the last year or so, even esport titles. Smite 2, for example, which now uses Unreal Engine 5, was only able to average about 41 FPS with the lowest settings. Now, this is with native 1080p. Smite 2 is also in open beta, so it can really only improve from here performance-wise, but it's really not a great look for this computer because this is a game that's meant to run on most modern hardware. It's meant to be as far-reaching as it possibly can be in this day and age. Marvel Rivals was the most interesting one of the bunch. It's technically playable, but I did not have a good time. Just want to say that. Did not enjoy it. With low settings, I averaged around 33 FPS. Now I was able to increase that to about 56 FPS with some pretty intense upscaling, but the game just did not look great. Upscaling introduced noticeable blur and jagged edges, and for fast-paced games, it negatively impacted my performance. And I'm not just saying that because I was like bad at the game. The jagged edges, the blurry haze effect definitely didn't help. Some of the negatives from Marvel Rivals did transfer over to Black Myth Wukong, like the blur whenever my character would move, or the heat haze effect and the very jagged edges. There's just really no way to avoid that when you're working with a computer of this caliber. But I was a little bit more lenient here because this was a single player game. I was averaging a little over 50 FPS when I had heavy upscaling, but I actually preferred the more console-like 33 FPS experience with higher graphics. In a slower RPG like this, it's a lot more forgiving, and I prefer a prettier 33 FPS than a smeary 55. And now we have Battlefield 6, one of the newest games out right now, and I was pleasantly surprised by this. It's optimized to run well enough on a mid-range video card from 2017 that no longer gets major game driver updates, and that's pretty impressive. It's not good enough for competitive play, but totally fine for casual matches. I was even able to get a kill, while I was playing, and I think that says a lot. So for the most part, this computer can actually play games, but I don't recommend it for a number of reasons. For one, cooling just isn't great. The GPU hit about 80 degrees Celsius at its peak with about an hour of gaming. That's totally fine. A more aggressive fan curve and undervolting the video card would help. And 80 degrees isn't even hitting that thermal limit where it starts throttling, but it's just a little bit hotter than I would like. But I did see the CPU peak at about 90 degrees Celsius. It didn't happen often, but it happened enough where I was a little concerned. And unfortunately, the A520 doesn't have very many undervolting options. Secondly, the video card is just too old. I think we're at the point where the RX 580, unless you want to play older games or potentially are using Linux, might just need to retire. It doesn't have any driver updates from Windows anymore, and that can actually prevent you from playing certain games. Spider-Man is a culprit of that, and Indiana Jones and the Great Circle also a culprit of that. And for $100 US, you can get something a lot better. So if I had to switch some things around and make this computer a better value, I would get a GTX 1660 Super secondhand for like $90 on eBay. I would pocket the extra $10 to whatever $15 that I have, and I would put that towards a case with either better thermals, or I would buy a case fan pack with a fan splitter. And there are also other video card options around $100 secondhand that would work better. RTX 2060 Super, if you can find it at a decent deal on eBay or locally, and then the RX 5700. They have about the same amount of VRAM, but at least 25 to like 40% faster than the RX 580, and they're still supported with game-ready drivers. So let me know what you guys think about this computer, this build, any ways that you would actually improve it yourself. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Peace.